In the headlines, UK travel restrictions on Nigerians generate anger. Man calls reciprocity. Traders in Abuja plead with authorities not to demolish illegal settlements. Council chairman develops app to secure community. And on the foreign scene, Myanmar deposed leader Aung San Suu Kyi handed 2-year jail term. Hello and welcome to Trust News Hour. I am Dashan Hussaina Usman. Now the news in detail. United Kingdom High Commission office at Abuja is deserted by visa-seeking applicants barely 24 hours after the country banned foreign travelers from Nigeria over COVID-19 Omicron variant. UK has suspended the processing of visitor visa applications from all red list countries, including Nigeria. Trust TV Nafisa Abdul-R visits the office that attracts large number of visa applicants, but no one could be found on Monday.
The British High Commission on December 6th had said they were pausing making decisions on visitor visa applications from all red list countries, including Nigeria. We were at the British High Commission in Abuja this morning and were denied access, but we were there to conduct interviews on this development. The area was quite deserted and absent people, but residents who work around the area said interviews for visa applications were actually conducted this morning and the rest were scheduled till January. Nafisa Abdul-Al, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Federal government on Sunday ruled out the possibility of restricting foreign travelers from visiting Nigeria despite travel ban on the country by Canada, the United Kingdom, Indonesia, Singapore and Hong Kong. The Minister of Health, Osagie Ehanire, said this on a national program. Ehanire described as unfortunate the reaction by some countries to the Omicron strain, noting that even the World Health Organization recently said countries should focus more on collaboration rather than shutting borders. This is coming as the federal government raised concern that most of the inbound passengers that tested positive for COVID-19 were from the UK. Former Foreign Minister, former Officer Grade 2 Shaibu Galma speaks to Trust TV on UK travel restrictions.
Diplomacy has it as that it is reciprocal. Once you do something to somebody, another country, reciprocity is there. But we find out always, like we are always down as far as the trade balance is concerned, we always find ourselves, again, even in diplomacy, we don't pay these people back to back. And the reason why they are doing this to us, we always show them that we depend on them. Is it on the running of our government? Indeed, in the purchase of our things. We don't try to develop our things. When we conduct elections, we're always looking to, waiting to hear from them, to make comments, to comment, pass good comments on the election that are taking place, so that, if they say it is okay, we feel okay. If it is not okay, you see us fidgeting all over the place. They don't leave us alone because of the manner we are still showing dependency on them. But the very moment we try to relieve ourselves from their yoke by showing that we can stand on ourselves, they will be thinking twice. At least there at least one country I can batch off in this Black Africa here that is doing that. That is the Rwanda. And let me tell you one thing. It is a shame. It's something that cannot even be understood by anybody who is reasonable, who knows what is happening. Let us put aside diplomacy or any other thing again, aside. How can you people, where this same disease, whatever it is, whether it is the COVID-19, whether it is the Omicron, it is always believed that it has started and it is more aggravated, more aggravating in your own countries. Then you now feel you have other countries, to make as a sort of lashing, what do I call it, whereby you can just come and start, hitting, trying to hide your own failure by coming hardly on some countries that are even better, doing better than you in control in everything of this disease. Thank God, Africa is not much hit by this disease. Otherwise, honestly, or by this what do you call it, virus. Otherwise, honestly, we should not be surprised to see these people flying, trying to say that they will be flying over African countries to be spraying them with this antivirus something spray, because it's unfathomable to say that Nigeria can even be counted as one of the leading countries for this spread of what do you call it? Omicron or something like that. Everybody knows where it started. So what is the meaning of this? Calling Nigeria, because Nigeria's name is always good for them to be mentioning in all their media.
Civil servants in Abuja have shown vaccination cards before they can have access to their offices. The Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19 had announced that starting from December 1, all employees of the federal government would be required to show evidence of being vaccinated or present a negative PCR result done within 72 hours before they're allowed into their offices. Trust TV's Nafisa Abdul Al visits the Federal Secretariat to check the level of compliance with the order.
This is the Federal Secretariat in Abuja, where on December 1st, civil servants without proof of vaccination were prevented from accessing the building. Now, from what we've gathered on the streets, most of these civil servants have been vaccinated, because without the proof of vaccination, which is the green card, one will still not be able to access the building.
Since on the 1st, that's last Thursday, they have been blocking the gate, not giving access to the workers until you show your green card before you are allowed, and that is what is happening. So most of the people that you see them going in, they are with their green cards.
I have just been denied access at the main entrance because I didn't have my vaccination card. Oh, it's true, it just happened to me, so it's true. I have my vaccination card, but I obviously didn't think that I should carry it about. Okay, now you denied me driving in access, and then I'm still out of the car now, and then you're still going to allow me. So what sense does it even make? Is it the car now that is going to transmit the virus, or it's me? So I actually think that there should be a balance.
Today it was a little bit relieved. The steps down on it, because many people have gone to, though it's difficult to get it. Today the relief was lesser than the last week, because many people used the opportunity last week to go and vaccinate them.
To me, I think the people are taking the vaccination very seriously now. Maybe because of the other level of the pandemic that the world is discovering now. The micro, what is it, micro variant, So because of that, a lot of people, there's this, it's like a call now. People are now aware that this thing is real, But even as at that, we have to be very careful too.
It's a good thing for every one of us, especially we that do have interaction with the public in course of our daily routine activities, to have it, so that it will give us edge against the infection. So really, it does not really take time. Once you provide the necessary information needed to them, to the officials administering the vaccination, then they will now ask you to sit down patiently. Within the space of 20 minutes, you will be called to come over to take the vaccine. I believe once I have my the card, which is evidence of my vaccination, and the date is written there, so I will definitely be allowed to enter into the Federal Secretariat complex.
The situation at the vaccination site located at the Federal Secretariat shows civil servants taking the jab to enable them into the Secretariat premises. Nafisa Abdul Al, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Owners of shanties and traders with illegal sericultures around Mabushi VIO office in Abuja have been served quick notice to remove any illegal structures or face demolition. The district officer, Development Control Department of Federal Capital Territory, Samson Atureta, warns that the situation where shanties are erected within plazas and other commercial buildings in the Federal Capital City will no longer be tolerated. Madia Umar, however, reports that traders and owners of the settlements are pleading with the authorities to allow them continue their business as they earn a living trading in the area.
The Mabushi VIO environment is usually flooded with a lot of people, mostly traders, some hawking on foot, some sitting and selling from under their umbrellas or in small shops. But recently, the area has become a shadow of itself as the FCT Development Control has asked these traders to leave.
The removal of illegal structures, let's say the shanties and the shops, has been a usual occurrence in the capital city of Abuja, with the latest happening around the Mabushi VIO office, where some traders are really lamenting not coming out to sell their wares or not coming out to make sales or earn a living on a daily basis. Some of them are not really happy about the situation, and they blamed it on the development control. According to some people that we have spoken to off camera, they're talking about a fight that happened around here which led to the removal of these illegal shanties and shops. So we're here to speak to some of the traders on what really happened.
Last week Monday, when I dey come market, I see those insurance girls, and they down there they fight. Then they fight, they crying so much. I just cross, pass, come and sit down. Now here I dey manage myself. Also, I'm a widow, and they are now one leg I get. I dey manage myself. Then from Monday we dey come market, come reach on Wednesday. So they can't say make we no come sell again. So we dey beg government to help us, to assist us for this management where we dey manage ourselves. Because everybody see how our country Nigeria be now, strong, rich now. Single person to feed it, another problem.
It happens on Monday. We hear shouting from down there. So after about 1 hour or 30 minutes, so I'm arranging my shai. They say, who is the Meshai of this place? I say, I'm the one. They tell us that as from today, we don't used to see anybody from here down there. That was what they said.
Today I came around and I saw that everywhere they have evacuated people from here. And I asked a lady, she said it was because of what happened on Friday, that the police came to arrest some people and all that. That's why they got people arrested, and you can see there's nobody around anymore. Well, this is the office of the development control around the VIO Mabushi area. The people responsible for serving later to the traders trading around here at the Mabushi Center. But one thing the district officer told me, Mr. Samson, was that a letter was served to these traders because some of them were constituting nuisance around this area, and it was to serve as a caution to some of these traders who felt that they had the right to sell their belongings around here, which of course, according to the Abuja master plan, no traders are around to stay around this area. Martia Umar, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Workers of Abuja Electricity Distribution Company have embarked on an indefinite strike over non-payment of entitlement for over 20 months. The members of staff of the company commenced the industrial action across the Federal Capital Territory on Monday. The members of staff of AEDC are demanding the payment of their 2020 bonus and other entitlements. They're also demanding the remittance of pensions deducted by the company to their pension fund administrators. They allege that the remittances have not been made for the past 19 months. A member of staff said the strike may take days depending on when their demands will be met. A 35-year-old software engineer in Kano State, Abdullah Ramat, has developed a mobile application for residents to report crime and other suspicious activities. Engineer Ramat, who is also the chairman of Ungogo local government area, believes the application will secure his villages and communities from crime before it happens. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin reports that the application has since been launched on Play Store for download and on any Android device.
Ungogo is a small local government area within Kano Central Senatorial District, which has an estimated population of about 1 million people, most of whom are farmers and small-scale business owners. However, rising cases of insecurity around its local communities may have been a source of concern in recent times.
Our people has the zeal and zest. They have the patriotism in them that everybody wants to report now. If you can see, let's say today, if you go to, let's say, fire outbreak scene, you will see the number of people trying to extinguish the fire. You understand? And less than the number of people trying to record and send online. Everybody is becoming a journalist today. So people are having the zeal, the confidence, the patriotism to report what is happening. But the only issue is that they are scared.
Today, if you are thinking of committing a crime in this part of Kano State, you may have to reconsider, because the newly launched Lura mobile application is designed to enable residents report crime directly to the local government chairman without necessarily revealing their identity. The need to promote community policing amidst growing fear by locals to report crime to the relevant security agencies, rising incidences of security threats, and the need to prevent crime before it happens is largely responsible for the Lura application in Ungogo local government.
So it has been online for the past 2 weeks. Within that span of 2 weeks, we were able to apprehend some people at corner Ungogo, that is Bacharawa. The boys used to keep in the market, in Albasa market, they used to hide their weapons like cutlass and some sticks. Until when it is a late night or early in the morning, then they will bring them out to attack. One of them reported them to us, and they were all got apprehended, about 2 of them, and they were all in prison. Yeah, apart from that, there's one person who opened a club. You know, alcoholing in our society in Kano is not allowed. So in the Eastern Ungogo, that is Gayawa, he opened a club. So from there, somebody reported the club to us, and we went there and we see Hizbah. You know, they swung into actions, and we lock it down. Now we shut it down, I mean.
Since it was launched on Play Store nearly 3 weeks ago, Lura application has been downloaded by many people and has so far responded to several security reports within Ungogo local government area. Although the first of its kind to have ever been developed by a sitting local government chairman, but Lura application may not likely last long for obvious reasons. It is only limited to 1 local government out of 44 in Kano, and the problem of political continuity may likely affect its sustainability in the near future. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano. Are we good?
You're still watching News Hour on Trust Television. Coming up after the break, story of woman washing for survival. Do stay with us.
Get latest updates on current topical issues and breaking news by downloading the Trust TV mobile app on your Android devices. Go online, click Google Play Store, search Trust TV, install the app, and get doses of unfiltered information on happenings all over the world in your pocket. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. You're still watching News Hour on Trust Television. A look at some of our top stories. United Kingdom High Commission office in Abuja is deserted by visa-seeking applicants barely 24 hours after the country banned foreign travelers from Nigeria over COVID-19 Omicron variant. And owners of shanties and traders with illegal sericultures around Mabushi VIO office in Abuja have been served quick notice to remove any illegal structures or face demolition. Still ahead, Nigeria Association of Women Journalists Bauchi State Chapter has announced the prevailing incidents of gender-based violence as they commemorate the 16 days of activism with a street walk. The awareness walk brings together women group, civil society organizations, and the media. Trust TV correspondent Adamu Imam reports.
The street walk took off from the NUJ Secretariat through Ahmadu Bello Way to Winti Market and terminate at the Bauchi State Secretariat. The Nawaj State Chairperson Bulak Absa said the walk was to create awareness on gender-based violence that has continued to happen in the society.
Ba mata da yara kawai ba ma har da maza da kuma yaran mu maza because duka namu ne. So da yawa aya cewa mata muna son kanmu da sauransu mazan ma mu muka haife su so su din ma muna kaunan su ba mu son a ci zarafin kowa.
And that's why we feel we have to come out and give a voice to what is happening in our communities and in various places.
Representative of other women groups, which include National Council of Women Society, Magistrate Shafa Uladan, and former State Amira Klishi Ibrahim, said it has become imperative for the society to speak with one voice.
We discovered that we don't have to come out, be antagonistic, be aggressive and everything what we are doing, but then this is a kind of advocacy work. As we are working, people are being curious, they are being conscious and everything.
Calling all our women to voice out, to come out and say it. If anything happens to you, there are many avenues now for us to table our issues.
Addressing the women group, Commissioner of Women Affairs and Child Development, Hajara Gidado, says the ministry is determined to pursue all cases to a logical conclusion.
The mandate of this ministry is to see that women, youth and the girl child are being protected from any form of violence.
The women groups commended the State Governor Bala Mohammed for signing the Violence Against Person Prohibition Act, VAP law, and constituted a standing committee to that effect recently. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
We're being joined by a human rights lawyer, Mutiu Akinsanya, to discuss cases of violence against women and disabled persons. You're welcome. Thanks for joining us.
It's my pleasure to be here.
All right, so let's start with domestic violence. You know, cases of domestic violence, they're increasing on a daily basis in Nigeria. Now, is it the lack of prosecution or absence of stiffer penalties in our laws that is responsible for this?
I think, in my opinion, none of these two. It's just that Nigerians are still not aware that we have a law in place. And majority of Nigerians are also not aware of those things that are classified as violation of rights of persons. If you look at the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act 2015, you will see that it outlines those things that ordinarily as Nigerians or Africans, we may not term them as violence, but in the real sense of it, they are violence against persons. If you look at Section 1 of that Act, you will find that it has now broadened the definition of rape, for instance, as we used to know it under the Criminal Code or under the Penal Code. And what it means now is that even men and children can also be raped. And rape can also be committed with several objects. So it has expanded that. If you also look at other provisions of that law, abandoning spouses or abandoning dependents is also a sort of violence. Stalking, just going after people and wanting to know where and what they're doing at particular times, is also termed as violence. And then when you then talk of spousal battery, husbands beating their wives or wives beating their husbands, or situations where you find husbands or wives throwing the things of their spouses out of their houses, all of these things are violence against persons. Even psychological violence, where you have a husband or a wife or any person at all talking down the other person, attacking them psychologically. All of these under the law are seen as violence against persons.
Okay, now there's no denying the fact that women are at the receiving end of, these types of violence, but in your own opinion, how do you think women can defend themselves in such situations?
I think what is important is for women to speak up. Yes, majority of women want to hide these things. They do not want to talk about it. So women must understand that when they talk about these things, they're also helping those who are also abusing them. So it's a win-win for everybody. So what's important is that they should speak up, because when they speak up, the society gets to know about these things, and then they get to help themselves and also help those who are abusing or violating them.
All right, now let's move on to discrimination against persons with disability. There's an act that is provided, for a fine and jail term for offenders, a part of which owners of high-rise buildings with no provision for people on wheelchair are also liable. Now, what can you tell us about the provision, in the law?
Okay, let me say that law was passed in 2018. Okay. And in my own opinion, that law is a landmark achievement for us here in Nigeria, because it now recognizes that people with disability are human beings and their rights must be protected. It also provides that they should be integrated properly into society, and all rights that can be enjoyed by any human being anywhere should also be enjoyed by them. It provides that people, meaning now persons or even corporate entities that violates any of the provisions of that law, can be fined, and for human beings they can even be imprisoned. And if you look at the 51 sections contained in that law, you will find that everything in that law is just about protecting these persons with disabilities. Now specifically to your question, for public facilities now, the Act mandates that all public facilities must have aids that will assist persons with disability to be able to use those facilities. And what that means is that, for instance, high-rise buildings, like you said, must have wheelchairs or must have rails that can make people with disability to be able to access them. Where people with disability, say hearing disability or sight disability, may also require certain aids to enable them comprehend what's happening in the environment, all of these must also be provided for them within all of these facilities, public facilities particularly. But I must say it does not also preclude people with private facilities to also provide all of these facilities, because again the law also categorically states that for people who should enjoy these things and do not enjoy it, they can approach any court and ask the court to give them an order to be enforced against these individuals or corporate entities that refuse to provide these basic amenities for their enjoyment.
All right, now let's talk about social inclusion and employment opportunities for people living with disability. It has been quite a challenge for them, because most of them have to resort to, learning a skill or a trade to sustain themselves. Yeah. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, yes, the Act is very explicit on this. The Act, for instance, provides that there should be free education for people with disability, and that's to empower them to be fit to take up any kind of assignment, either in the private sector or in the public sector. And then the Act also explicitly states that for employment opportunities in the private sector and the public sector, that they should not be discriminated against. So meaning if they are qualified to get employment opportunities, they should even be considered first before other persons in employment opportunities, even when it comes to politics, when it comes to policy making, when it comes to representation, they should also be considered. In fact, the Act states that they should enjoy a reservation of 5% for them, so that they can all be catered for and they can all enjoy what any other person will enjoy. It will also perhaps interest you to know that the statistics now is that you have about 27 million Nigerians who are disabled. So that's a huge number.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, and if we neglect that large chunk of our population, we'll all be in trouble.
All right, thank you so much for joining us on Trust TV today. All right, that was human rights lawyer Mutiu Akinsonya here to discuss cases of violence against women and also disabled persons. Moving on to more news, the 4 days working week introduced by Kaduna State government is generating mixed feelings among civil servants and retirees. While some welcome the new policy, others are critical of it. The report.
Kaduna State government has introduced the 4 days working week to give time to its workers to attend to family and farming activities as a way of rejuvenating the workforce. Work begins from Monday to Thursday, while on Friday, the state civil servants will work from home. The policy is still generating reactions from different quarters in the state.
In respect of the Kaduna State government, 4 working days, it's not a new thing. As far as I'm concerned, far back 30 years ago, during the military era, you find out that by 12 o'clock on Fridays, the work normally closed. Then after months, nobody come back to the office. In Kaduna, that of Kaduna State, the only place to affect is that of the Kaduna State Geographical Information System. Because of people going there to collect their CO4, it will really affect those people that have files there and they will really want to use the file for official purposes. As for the 4 working days, it's okay. It's not a new thing in Nigeria.
I don't see it as anything. At least they'll have time with their kids by Friday. No, it's normal. I don't think.
Because government says that on Friday, they'll be at home working. So I don't know how faithfully they're going to complete their work at home, because being at home at times distracts attention. So that kind of a policy will make some people to be lazy in life.
It's a good thing, but what I'm afraid of, it shouldn't be attached or associated to religion. There was a time, I can't remember the year, a similar system was introduced in Kaduna State, 4 working days. But in this context, the governor came out openly and said it is to enable, workers to reunite more with their families. And at the same time, to abide by the rules of the COVID-19.
Comrade Lawal Sambo is Kaduna State Chairman of the Nigerian Civil Service Union and Joint Negotiation Council. He says the introduction of the policy contravenes labor laws.
The Convention of Working in Nigeria says that nobody will work for more than 8 hours in a day, and which by this adjustment, the civil servants of Kaduna State will have to work for at least 9.5 hours to 10 hours every day, which contravene the convention. And this convention is in the exclusive list of Nigerian Constitution. So no any state government has the right to make any law in regards to working hours.
Comrade Sambo, who is a former labor leader, also faults Kaduna State government for not talking to the labor leaders in the state before introducing the policy.
They can make the working days to be 2 days, 3 days, 1 day in a week, but the issue is that they will have to consider that hours that the civil servants are supposed to work in their workplace, which is standard is 8 hours. And this issue of working hours is very paramount in the labor movement, which was even the basis of formation of this labor movement. from way back in United States, because that's when it starts from the agitation of how many hours workers are supposed to work. That's how these things start, and it will not end there. It has to continue, because workers are not slaves. Workers are workers. You employ them because you want them. And even in taking this decision, I'm not even sure whether the Kaduna State government have talked to the leaders of the workers so that they can sit and make arrangements. And if Kaduna State government did not know the law.
According to him, the 4-day working policy requires a legal and regulatory framework to be in place by January 2022.
Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency in Gombe State face risks fighting illicit drug trade. The agency in Nigeria is charged with eliminating the growing, processing, manufacturing, selling, exporting and trafficking of hard drugs. In the discharge of their duties, NDLEA personnel say they face multiple challenges, including physical attacks that sometimes claim lives of officers. In this report, Trust TV's Ibrahim Ismail speaks to some NDLEA personnel in Gombe who experienced attacks in the course of their assignment.
According to some personnel of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency NDLEA in Gombe, they have been working amid attacks by mobs which often inflict physical injuries on them. This officer is a victim of multiple attacks. It happened mostly during raid on drug dealers.
Yes. There are scars here, and at this place you will see that there is a gray hair, but the place is there is no presence of much hair because of the scar there, and there is one here. It look black inside.
Right, the other one looks white.
Yes.
Kind of like white hair there.
Yes.
And you can see it from here.
Yes.
All right. This is the price that you guys are paying.
Yes. This is even a little price. Some pay their supreme prices by losing their lives. And because I can remember 2007, I was involved in another mob attack where we went in Palla and Zaria when I was serving in Kaduna State. About 300 youths organized to come and attack because we arrested one of the member of the community, and actually some people were terribly wounded, and I was not even aware that the youths that number were trying to attack. I was busy pursuing the target. When I came back, two of us, one was armed, it's my junior, and myself. I saw the angry two, they were pointing at us. These are part of them. Let us deal with them. When I asked my colleague that on no account you shoot till I gave you an order, just allowed me with them.
Another challenge in the fight against drug trafficking is evidence tampering.
We went off an assignment around within the town, and then because we could not gain access to the premises on time, through the window we saw the person throwing the exhibit to the toilet, and that's a way of destroying the evidence. And eventually we tried to recover the exhibit. That happened like that. Those are the situations we face. They may destroy the exhibit, but eventually we were able to recover the exhibit.
In view of the attacks which officers go through, the NDLEA Gombe State Command has a message to the people.
Destroy their vehicles. One happened recently in Chan, where NDLEA went, they smashed the windscreen, dented the vehicle. In fact, if not that it was in the night, they would have set that vehicle ablaze. It happened in Kashingi. So it happened in some other places in Gombe State. So the community realizing that we are helping them, we are not coming to kill them, we are helping them to deliver them from the hands of these death merchants. If they should appreciate NDLEA, they are the ones to give us their names. But you discover that when we go there, they are the ones attacking NDLA, destroying their vehicles.
From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail for Trust TV.
Police in Imo State say its operatives have arrested members of a kidnapping syndicate responsible for the kidnap of a Catholic priest in the state. The operation is executed by the anti-kidnapping unit of the command, consistent with the resolve to fight criminality head-on. Correspondent Honora Aningwobodo files in this report.
The Imo State Police Command, under the leadership of Rabiu Hussaini, has again recorded victory following the gallantry disposition of the command tactical units. Among the command's recent successes include the arrest of a notorious kidnapping syndicate responsible for the kidnap of a Catholic priest, an operation executed and perfected by the anti-kidnapping unit of the command. CP Hussaini, while parading over 30 suspects for various offenses committed in the state, reiterated the command position of zero tolerance to crime and criminality.
I want to call on all Imolites who are willing to come home for the Christmas to come. Adequate security arrangements have been put in place and that they should not entertain any fear, as our security agencies, instead with other security agencies, are on the ground to provide adequate security.
The kidnapped Reverend Father, who gained his freedom after paying a total sum of 5 million naira as ransom, narrated his ordeal in the hands of the kidnappers.
I was with them from 17th of September to the 25th of September. That's when my family paid a ransom for 5 million. And then they were able to release me.
In their confessional statements, 2 out of the 6-man kidnap gang said lack of jobs and hardship pushed them into the crime. One of them, who described himself as a pastor and father of 5 based in Lagos, pleaded for mercy.
I am a native of Indise. I based in Lagos, married with 5 kids. Unfortunately, I went to pastor school and I've been a pastor for over 4 years. But out of the frustration, when I met my friend, I traveled to Angola and I was sent back. When I met my friend, that led me to this.
Then I am a kidnapper. And I am not proud of it because there is a word that they normally say that every day is for the thief and one day is for the owner. And all the crime which I've been committing, I'm doing it out of the condition I find myself into.
Exhibits recovered were exotic cars, various types of firearms and ammunition, ESN uniforms, charms and other items. Honora Aningwobodo for Trust TV.
Everyone wants to look good, yet not many have the time to wash and iron their clothes. They prefer hired hands to handle such chores for them. While some have allowed the big-time laundries to handle their washing, others have welcomed the mobile washerwoman to do theirs at their convenience. The report.
Look at her hands, raw, nubbly and calloused. Look at her face like a bean seed soaked in brine. For countless years, she has toiled to wash clothes in frost-freckled mornings and in sun-scorched afternoons. She had drifted murmurless.
Ni daga Nasarawa State, daga Doba Local Government. To wannan sana'a na fara shekara na 50 nake sana'a nan.
This is the interstice where these women wash people's clothes. It is a streamlet located in Gwarimpa metropolis. They left home over 214 kilometers away. What is distinct about them is that they belong to the same kindred. They are women who take the bacon home.
I don't have anyone to help me. I have 9 children. This is what I take care of myself and my kids with, from feeding to school fees, health and everything. I've been here since 2000. I do this to help myself and to help my child who is in school. I pay my fees and that's all.
You're still watching Trust News Hour. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. You're still watching News Hour on Trust TV. Now let's join Chamun Debeng on business news.
You're welcome to Business News on Trust TV. I am Chamun Debeng. Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC's) latest report shows that Nigeria got no revenue from crude oil export in the month of October, despite an average daily oil production of 1.417 million barrels in the month of September. NNPC, in its report to the Federation Account Allocation Committee, FAC, released at the weekend, said petrol subsidy for October is 199 billion naira. The corporation said the amount would be deducted from November revenue due to FAC in December, adding that the overall NNPC crude oil lifting of 11.49 million barrels, export and domestic crude, in September 2021 recorded 98.5% increase, with Nigeria recording 1.417 million daily production in September. On export of crude oil, the report said no crude oil export revenue for the month, while domestic gas and other receipts in the month stands at 6.78 billion naira. National Bureau of Statistics on Monday says the total foreign trade in Nigeria rose to 13.3 trillion naira in the third quarter of the year. The Statistician General of the Federation, Simon Harry, stated this during a press briefing on the third quarter foreign trade report held in Abuja. He said the 13.3 trillion naira trade comprises of 8.2 trillion naira imports and 5.1 trillion naira exports, resulting in a trade deficit of 3.03 trillion naira. The latest figure shows that Nigeria's imports expenditure grew by 1.3 trillion naira from 6.95 trillion naira recorded in the second quarter of 2021, while the rise in imports is driven majorly by an increase in the importation of commodities such as motor spirits, gas oil, imported motorcycles and cycles, among others. Soil Science Society of Nigeria, SSSN, says at least $27.3 billion is lost annually to salinity-induced soil degradation around the world. The president of SSSN, Bashiru Raji, represented by his deputy, Damishian Asawalam, stated this at a press briefing organized by the group to mark this year's World Soil Day. Raji described soil salinization as a major land degradation process that reduces soil fertility and promotes desertification processes in dry land. The World Bank estimates that soil salinization due to inappropriate irrigation practices affects about 60 million hectares of land, and advocated the adoption of sustainable farming systems adapted to saline and sodic environments, while encouraging people to avoid unsustainable practices that could lead to soil salinization. There are indices that the prices of liquefied petroleum gas LPG, commonly known as cooking gas, may rise further as supplies drop by 5.5% to 85,066.546 metric tons in September from 90,017.002 metric tons recorded in August 2021. Currently, 12.5 kg costs 8,500 naira, but could rise further between 9,000 and 10,000 during the festive season. Reacting to the limited supply of LPG, the President Nigeria LPG Association, Nuhu Yakubu, who noted that the sector is still constrained by some problems, especially foreign exchange, high prices and instability, said the association has been engaging with relevant agencies with a view to addressing the issues. Women farmers under the aegis of Small-Scale Women Farmers Organization in Nigeria, SWOFON, has urged the federal government to commence food voucher intervention to tackle current food crisis in the country. This is part of the recommendations contained in a communique signed by the national president of the association, Mary Afan. This is a part of the recommendation contained in a communique signed by the national president of the association, Mary Afan, after a 2-day small-scale women farmers organization in Nigeria, SWOFON National Advocacy Forum held in Abuja. She said the communique made the recommendation based on its report that 12.8 million people in 16 northern states of Adamawa, Bauchi, Benue, Borno, Gombe, Jigawa, Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, Niger, Plateau, Taraba, Sokoto, Yobe, Zamfara, and the FCT are currently faced with food and nutrition insecurity due to climate change, insecurity, farmers and herder clashes, and the COVID-19 pandemic. The communique further stated that apart from the 16 northern states, other states are also faced with food and nutrition insecurity due to similar factors earlier mentioned, while food and nutrition insecurity is made worse by post-harvest losses of about 3.5 trillion naira annually. That's all for Business News on Trust TV. I am Chamun Dabeng.
Academic Staff Union of Universities says the federal government is yet to meet its demands as its ultimatum expires and will face another round of industrial action. ASU President Emmanuel Sodeke stated this in a telephone conversation with Daily Trust. The union said it will declare its position shortly after consultations to its branches within 2 days after consultations. Recall that the ultimatum given by the union for government to accede to its demands or face another round of strike ended on Sunday, and the union had threatened to embark on another round of strike following federal government's failure to implement the memorandum of action agreed upon. On the foreign scene, a court in Myanmar has sentenced deposed leader Aung San Suu Kyi to prison after convicting her on charges widely dismissed as politically motivated. Monday's conviction is first in a dozen cases Myanmar's military has brought against Aung San Suu Kyi since February coup. Let's join Aisha Haruna for the foreign scene.
A court in Myanmar has sentenced deposed leader Aung San Suu Kyi to prison after convicting her on charges widely dismissed as politically motivated. Monday's conviction is the first in a dozen of cases Myanmar's military has brought against Aung San Suu Kyi since a February coup. Suu Kyi is set to serve 2 years in detention at an undisclosed location, a sentence reduced from 4 years after a partial pardon from the country's military chief. President Win Myint is also sentenced to 2 years. Reports say the sentences will be applied at their current detention places, meaning they will not be sent to prison. Other cases against the Nobel Peace Prize laureate include multiple charges of corruption, violations of a State Secrets Act, and the Telecoms Law that altogether carry a maximum sentence of more than 100 years in prison. Qatar's foreign minister has reiterated his country's position on addressing the situation in Afghanistan, saying Doha will continue to work towards enhancing humanitarian and economic efforts in the war-torn country. In a joint press conference with Turkish counterpart in Qatar's capital Doha on Monday, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani said Qatar will work with ally Turkey and Taliban officials to ensure that Kabul's international airport, the site of chaotic scenes after the Taliban takeover, continues to function. Sheikh Mohammed, alongside Turkey's foreign minister, spoke to newsmen after the pair met as part of the 7th annual Qatar-Turkey Strategic Dialogue. The 2-day meeting, co-chaired by Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, is expected to end with the signing of at least 12 MOUs on Tuesday across various fields including military, health, tourism and education sectors, among others. The United Arab Emirates' top national security advisor Sheikh Tahnoun bin Zayed is on a visit to Iran for high-level talks that are seen as a possible sign of thawing relations between the two countries. Sheikh Tahnoun, a brother of the country's de facto ruler, and Abu Dhabi's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed discussed improving bilateral ties and developments in regional affairs in the capital Tehran on Monday. The security chief emphasized that countries in the region should not be affected by external influence and meddling and must work to end military and security crises through dialogue and not military actions. Shamkhani says he hopes that Sheikh Tahnoun's visit will mark the beginning of a new chapter of relations and create the grounds for expansion of all ties. The UAE is part of a Saudi-led coalition fighting the Iran-backed Houthi forces in Yemen, a country engulfed by dire humanitarian crisis. Police have fired tear gas at protesters near the presidential palace in Khartoum as thousands of Sudanese took to the streets on Monday across several cities in the latest demonstration against the October military coup and subsequent deal that reinstated Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok. Demonstrators marched in different locations in Khartoum and its sister city of Omdurman. There were also protests in other cities including Kassala, Sennar and Port Sudan. The demonstrators marched from various districts of the capital, many chanting, "No to military rule," and "The army might betray you, but the streets will never betray you." The Sudanese military seized power on October 25, dissolving the transitional government and arresting dozens of officials and politicians. The takeover upended a fragile planned transition to democratic rule more than 2 years after the popular uprising that forced the removal of longtime leader Omar al-Bashir. And finally, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa says hospitals are preparing for more admissions as the country entered a fourth COVID-19 wave driven by the Omicron coronavirus strain. South Africa's daily COVID-19 cases surged last week to more than 16,000 on Friday, up from roughly 2,300 on Monday. Ramaphosa said in a weekly newsletter that Omicron appeared to be dominating new cases in most of the country's 9 provinces and urged more people to get vaccinated.
Ibrahim Yusuf for latest on sports news.
The shortlist for the BBC Africa Sports Personality of the Year 2021 award has been announced, with no Nigerian making the top 6 nominees. The 6 contenders for the accolade were chosen by a panel of journalists from Africa and the United Kingdom. The panel selected a shortlist based on the best African sporting achievements on the international stage between January and September 2021. The impact of the person's achievement beyond the particular sport was also taken into account. The nominees are Kenyan athletes Eliud Kipchoge and Faith Kipyegon, South African para-athlete Ntando Mahlangu, Namibian athlete Christian Mboma, Senegalese footballer Edouard Mendy, and South African swimmer Tatiana Shoemaker. The winner of the award will be announced on Friday, 7th January 2022. Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen head into a winner-takes-all championship decider in Abu Dhabi this Sunday after Hamilton emerged victorious in the just-concluded action-packed Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. In a race packed full of controversy and incident, Verstappen and Hamilton had no less than 4 flashpoints between them, including a collision. The Red Bull driver was found guilty in 2 separate incidents and handed penalties for dangerous and unfair driving, totaling 15 seconds of race time in all. Both drivers are tied on 369 points heading into the final race of the season.
With that, we've come to the end of News Hour. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Thanks for watching.